Okay, I'm just trying to see if this is a test stream. Looks like it's working here. I can't hear anything. Can I? Okay, so I can hear now, but. So I see it in Twitch, but. I mean, I guess that'll be fine. I can see it here. Okay. Okay, so I'm not quite gonna get started yet on streaming my code. I'm actually still setting up, and I was testing Restream out for a little bit to see how this is gonna work. Nope, go back. But it looks like that's working here. Oh, I have a viewer. I hope that's not me. Huh. Wouldn't be the first time. Okay. So then... So hopefully, since I'm working with this restream.io thing, it'll actually stream to YouTube after this, which will be nice, and adds in some other things. Titles. Stream time. And I can also do social alerts. That's fun. Still got some time, guys. Open drafts. So just an update on what I'll be going over today is I'm going to do 4 things, all dealing with core data and getting core data actually added to the app. The first thing, I'm going to add an entity for the note. I'm going to add functions to add a note. And then, got to get some UI updated to where I can display all the notes and display detail of notes. Sorry if that hurts your ears. I'm still working on things. Yeah. So those are the 4 things I want to get done today. Again, hopefully it takes about an hour. Might take a little bit longer. We will see how that goes. Okay. All right, so here we go. Let's focus on the code. Cool. So like I said, I want to do everything in core data today. So the first thing we're going to do is go into the notification.xc data model. Haha, there are no entities because I haven't done anything. So let's add an entity. An entity is going to be the basically how the data is stored. So what is data is what an entity is. So we're going to say a data is a note that the user gets to add. So we're going to hit down here that you can't see. There's a button that says add entity. And that's what we're going to hit. But first I'm going to go into do not disturb. That way nothing really disturbs anything. Like notifications, all that goes away. So now we're going to hit add entity, and it pops up here. So here we go. Under attributes, we of course need the body of the note. So that's just going to be a body, and it's going to be a string. Then we need an added date. So basically, when was the note actually added? Date. We need a modified date. I'm just adding in this data that I don't know if we'll use right away to work with the app, like how to sort and stuff, but it's still going to be good to know, because then we can add that kind of info in later. Is notified. So has the user set this note to notify them or not? That's going to be a Boolean. So I like to mark my Booleans with is and then what I'm trying to figure out. So is it notified? Is it archived, which is going to be the next one? That way it's just like, is it notified? True. Yes, the user has set it to to notify. Has set this note to pop up on the lock screen. Is it archived? If it's archived, don't show it. Show it only if we choose the archive section. Is archived. So it just kind of reads and makes it a little bit more understandable to the human when they're going back and reading the code. Okay, I have 2 errors here, so let's see. Oh, I don't have any errors. Just kidding. But basically, we can also set some defaults here if we wanted to. So under is archive, I'm going to move this so that you can see it instead of my face. It's not going to be optional, and the default is going to be no, it's not archive. And we're going to go to is notified. It's also not going to be optional, and we're going to default it to not notified. All right. One second, I'm gonna just pause and get rid of the messages icon. That way y'all don't accidentally see anything. Nothing's bad, but you know. All right, and now we're gonna switch back to coding. All right, so now that that's done, we basically have the following information for each note. The body of the note, which is the text that the user wants to be presented on the screen. Whether or not the user is notified, but is notified, and if it's archived or not. That may or may not be used later. I kind of like want a archival feature in case you want to bring it back instead of just deleting, but we'll see how that goes. And then there's also the date that was added and the date it was modified. So these are going to be the 2 main sorting points of the app. Cool. So now that these are added, what I'm going to do is actually... So now we have an entity. That crosses off the first thing that I wanted to get done. If you wanted to see my checklist, here it is. So we've done that. So now we need to add the functions to add a note. So basically, which also means add some UI to add a note as well. So what we need to do here is go and make it to where we can add a note. We're going to add a note from the list view. So let's go away that. Our list view is in the content view here. And again, it's just taking some time to get that done, but it'll be okay. It's just building. It takes some time. Well, it's built, so that's a good part. It was able to succeed, so we're just going to wait to fill it in here. Sorry, guys. OBS apparently decided to stop. I don't know why exactly. Okay, cool. So we are back, which is good. So now that we're back, let's figure out what we're going to do here. So the first thing is we need a button up here that allows us to add a note. And it just sounded like I heard someone activate my printer. Nope, we're good? Okay, cool. Awesome. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add a button right here. So to do that, we can either do this one or two ways. Either just directly in the notes itself, or there is a handy little plus button right above me. I'm going to move me down a little bit so we can see. So right above me, there's this handy little plus button that when you hit it, you can go and get snippets. One of the pluses of being able to use Catalina and having this option here is that it happens. So let's see. Let's make sure that I'm going to get the right one. We are just going to have a button. So then you can just drag the button where you want it, which is kind of cool. I know it closed. Okay, cool. So let's try that again. Grabbing the button, dragging it. Cool. And now what we're going to do is add note. We're actually gonna copy that, paste it here. Oh, awesome. Okay, so we'll just leave that there for now. That's a bunch of white space that I'm gonna have to take care of at some point. Okay, so yeah, bunch of white space, but if I hit add, so now it's gonna add to note, a bunch of white space here to take care of at some point. I don't know when I want to, so why not just go to GitHub right now and add this. Oh, wrong thing. Notification issues. Work on white space on list between button and notes. All right. Okay, so now we have this as an add note. But really what we need is to get our content text in here. I always forget how to do this, so I always have to go back to when I did it. I have a blog post about this. And like I said, I just always forget. Okay, so because when we launched the project, we made sure the boxes that were checked were the core data boxes. So already in our scene delegate, we have the context to get the container, which is what this is. Right here, this is our container. So all we need to do, and it's already said to go into our content view. So what we need to do is actually add in an environment variable that's given by SwiftUI in here. I don't need that anymore. Well, that's cool. We're going to go ahead and get rid of that too, because that was not needed anymore, since there's no actual list in here. Okay, so now, like I said, we're going to add in that environment variable. So to add that in, and it's given by SwiftUI. It's actually a property wrapper, which is what that @ symbol does. / managed object context. Whoops. Okay, so we have our context in here. So now what we need to do is actually add the action to our button. So actually, instead of just having a button, we're just gonna have a text field right next to it. But no, I don't want to have just a text field. When I hit add note, I want it to open up a modal, basically, that allows you to type in what's going on. So let's make that modal first. Well, actually, no, I don't want a modal. Sorry, that was the wrong words. I want like alert dialog box that you can then type in. Because in theory, these notes aren't going to be that long. You can only do like 2 lines of text in a notification anyway on the lock screen. So we really just need a alert. So show alert. All right, so now we're going to make an alert for this. Okay, so when we make an alert, we actually need a state variable to say whether or not the alert is being shown, which is very similar to a modal. So at state private var show is note being added. With Swift, you don't actually have to specify what the type actually is. I like specifying what the type is. That way I know right off the back that it is a Boolean. Again, I'm a little bit triggered that it's a Boolean because it starts with the word is, and then is note being added, false. That way it just doesn't start with the note being added first. So actually the first thing is not going to be add note. It's going to be self dot is note being added equals true. So what that's saying is when I tap that button that says add note, it is going to say make that true. So now we need an alert. Alert. So let's just have fun real quick. So the alert's going to go right underneath the button, and it's going to say dot alert. And then is presented. So what is it going to be presented? It's going to be our variable that says is presented is note being added. So because it needs that binding, that's when you use the bling, the $sign. And then we're going to say an alert. Let's just start off with an alert and then a text. Title. So right now we're just going to try to see if this alert is going to be added. So that was successful. Let's hit resume here. That was also successful. Yay. Okay, cool. We're gonna hit the play button down here. What that play button is gonna allow us to do is once this is done previewing here, we should be able to actually see the add note go through. Be able to actually push add note and see that that alert be popped up. All right, so when I hit add note, aha! Add notification. Blarg. Yay. Okay, so then we can say in here, let's see what the other options are for add. So what's really cool about Xcode is I can I can quick help this. Open in our documentation here and go see what all an alert can take in, because I might actually be doing the wrong thing and might need to switch to an actual modal instead, which it looks like that's what I'm gonna have to do because it only takes in the text. So I can't do that. God. All right, No, there goes that idea. Sorry for taking a stack down that way. But now we know how to do an alert if we need to. And honestly, it's pretty much the same thing for our modal. So let's switch. Let's actually add in a under view. We're going to hit add new file. I did not want that one. Cancel. New file. Swift UI. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Add note view. All right, so in this add note view, it's going to be a VStack. We're going to put in new note. So because I know that the note is going to need a text, we're going to add in a state variable here. Private var note body, and it's going to be a string blank new note. We'll do a text field. And in the text field, we can say new note or note. And this is going to be, again, it's a binding, so it's that state variable we just made, note body. Let's hit resume, just make sure it's looking relatively right. Cool. So this is new note there. Next, we're going to add in and this actually shouldn't be a VStack, it should be a form. There should be, no, it's not gonna work that way. No, apparently it's not. Cool, I thought that would work. So what we're gonna do is actually button action. We're just gonna keep going like it would have worked. Print. Add note. And because Swift UI is really bad at errors, I know it needs this. Okay, so we're going to put this in a section then. Okay, so now we have the add note part. Great. So now what we're gonna do is have this called the new note. And we're gonna call it so in here what we're gonna do is change this to in our content view where we're going to present it. We are going to, great, is being added, that's fine. Instead of dot sheet, we're going to say, instead of dot alert, we're going to say dot sheet. Again, it's like the same thing. So we don't have to say alert in. And instead of alert, it's going to say add note view. And there is no title for it now. Aha, see, and you can add it. Because I still had preview turned on with the little play button behind my head. Oh, maybe it just makes more sense for me to be in the bottom left. Well, then you can't see it, still see it as much. What if I shrink myself? Oh, there we go. Okay, because I still had this play, well, now it's a stop button there. That's okay. But basically, now it dismisses, and then it comes back. It can come back. Boom. Back. Cool. All right, so we can make it appear. We can make it disappear, which is great. But now what we want to do is actually, we need to pass it this context so that when we can actually add a new note to the, so that we can actually add a new note to our core data. So what we're going to do is, I'm actually going to go look because I've done this before. Sorry guys. I guess I can toss this over here so y'all can actually see what I'm looking at. So I know I do it currently in my OSC app, so one sec. I probably do it in views. Shared. Object button. So you see in here, I have a context menu, but then I also have this sheet. Dot environment variable. Environment is what I was looking for. So then here we'll go and say dot environment So basically what we're saying here is okay, so what we're saying here is that this note view is also going to be able to take in the context. And by taking in this context, we can then access and add to our core data. So basically I'm just going to copy and paste that there. Then we are going to go into our this is actually now where we get to add a note. So when we hit add note, we're going to do this function that we're about to declare down here that's adds a note. Note to okay, so now we say context dot we're going to say let new note equals note okay, hold on, I'm missing something here. Once I'm done with core data, I kind of leave it, which is why I always come back to it, so that at some point it's just going to stick in my head. Okay, so we're going to say great. Okay, so did I actually add it as a... because it's still called entity. I never give it an actual name. We're going to call it note entity. And we actually do want the code gen to be class definition. This way, it'll automatically do it for us. It'll actually give us the class definition. So that way we can say note entity. And it adds in a bunch of codes. It does some of the code for us to add in the note entity. So we can just say, hey, go add it. Great, thanks. So here we are in content view again. And we don't want to be in content view. We want to be in add note to finish this. So note, like I said, note entity context is going to still be context. Just going to build it till it be built. Make sure it's going to build correctly. And it would be if I spelled it right. Build still fit. Oh, because I spelled context wrong twice. Let's try that again. There is no such thing as a note entity. That is wrong now. Build was successful. I don't need the simulator to start. All right, so we have this new note. So now we got to give it some properties. Let's go ahead and actually open up a second editor here. And by opening up the second editor, we can then say, what all the attributes are of the note entity. So added date. So we're going to say new note dot added date equals date. That way it's just the current date. New note dot body is going to equal that note body. Okay, but why is it so upset? Okay, so actually, before we keep going with the new note body, we are going to actually add this to our context. Actually add it to our core data. So what we do here is we say, it's a try catch. Try context dot. I do actually know this. I've done it several times before. Okay, so yeah, I was basically doing it right, but it's not just a try. It goes in a do, try, catch. So we're going to say do, and it's going to try to save the context. And then if it cannot do that for some reason, it is going to catch and print our error. Okay, but it is actually called note entity. I don't know why it's... Okay, so I'm actually going to close Xcode and reopen it. Okay, so trying to see what else we still have to do. Add functions to add a note. That's what we're currently working on. Display all notes. So after this, we get to do the fun thing of displaying the notes. Woo! Okay. Cool. All right. So now a note body, new note, dot is archived. I shouldn't have to redeclare whether it's archived or notified still, but we're going to anyways just to make sure. And also, so it makes things a lot easier if each object that I'm going to try to show, like in our original notification list, has its own unique ID number. So what we're going to do is go ahead and hit the blue plus sign, and we're going to add in a new attribute called ID. And it's going to be a UUID. And it should be okay to be optional. Cool. And so now we need to give it a .id equals a UUID. And by doing the UUID with the parentheses like this, it's going to allow me to actually the device is going to give it a unique ID every time this function's ran. I'm going to build it so I can get rid of that notification because it's valid. ID body is archived, is notified. New note dot modified date equals date. Great, and that's all it should take to actually add. So what we're going to do here is say self dot add note to core data. Okay, and then we're going to do one more thing here, because what we need to do now is when that note's added, it's going to close the modal for us. Nope, it is in settings. I just have to remember how to do it. Show objects, edit object. So how this is going to work is we need to get the presentation mode from the previous thing. So that's another environmental variable that SwiftUI can give us. So we're going to call it at environment presentation mode. We're going to go ahead and call it presentation mode Then we can when that is done, we should be able to dismiss, but I'm trying to find where we okay, history, blog. To dismiss, we're going to say inside here after we add it. We're going to do it after the try is done. Self.presentation mode dot wrapped value dot dismiss. All right. I think we did it, guys. Show me the canvas. Gonna go back to content view here. Gonna start it. And it's just gonna build. So let's let it build. If I was better, I would actually have more things to say during this time that it takes to build. Succeeded, yes. But I'm still trying to figure out how to fill this void. Maybe next time I will be asking questions, but there's no one to ask to because no one watches. So I will have to come up with topics to say during this time. All right, preview's ready. So now I can hit add note. I can add a note, I think. Then I hit add note and it should disappear, but it's not. I wonder if it just doesn't work. I know there was a bug in the simulator that caused it not to work at one point. Let's try running the simulator real quick. Cool. So this is actually my second live stream that I've actually been able to do in a row on Monday nights. So hopefully this will get me into a better groove. I'll drag the simulator over here so you guys can see. Nor should I really talk into the microphone like that, because it kind of creeped me out on my own headphones. Okay, let's see. What can I talk about? Well, here I have my dogs in here with me, and one cat, two cats. One cat is on top of the printer over here. Excuse the mess. You can kind of see her, just kind of there in the back. The other cat is actually below my desk. The other cat is, oh, there's like a thing, like right here. Like, hold on. I don't know what. Did I get scratched somehow? Oh, I think it did. Weird. Okay, well, I think my camera's scratched. Let's try putting it back. Now that I've messed with it enough for y'all to probably never want to watch this again. Huh. It's kind of there. Kind of gone. Okay. Well, no big deal. We'll just keep going. Weird. I wonder if it's just how the light's like reflecting off my glasses. Because, like, I mean, you still see it though with my hand there. Alright, well, we're just gonna keep going. Add note. So now I can actually do this now that the build's done. Here is my note. My atomic. Cool. Haha! And it works as expected. Yay! So now what we're gonna do is work on getting this into where you can actually see these notes. So let's check this off. So let's actually see the notes here instead of this static list. So now we're going to see the notes instead of this static list. So let's go here. We'll stop it. All right, so instead for each. So now we got to grab all the note entities. So we need a fetch request in here. At fetch request. So there is also a property wrapper in core in this that lets me do that. I actually know where that is. Hold on. Because I actually need to see how to do that. I've only done that part a handful of times. Swift. All right. So how the fetch request works is in here. We're going to also call it var notes fetched results of. It's going to be a fetched results of a note entity because that's the only entity we have. And now we get to actually fill it in. So fetch request, we have to tell it what type of entity we want first. Well, here we are. Which is going to be a note entity dot entity. Then our sort descriptors, we're just gonna do in here sort descriptor key path note entity dot date modified date comma ascending false. Okay, so basically we're saying, hey, on that note entity that you're coming through, we're going to sort that by the modified date, and the last modified is going to be at the top. So the newest suggested note should be at the top instead of like newly added note, that kind of thing. Cool. And we don't really need a predicate for now, but we will have a predicate later that is saying, only show me, though, the notes that need to be notified or that are not archived first. Cool. So instead of 0 dot dot through 10, we're going to say for each notes. Cool. So that in theory should work. But then for the card, we're going to say item dot actually inside the card we're just going to send it the item. So now we actually need to adjust the card. I know that's not what we want, which is fine. We don't need that. So inside the card we're going to get a, what did I do? Note is going to be a note entity, and this is why I actually don't like doing previews. We're just going to comment it out for now. And then we're going to say note text dot, so it's going to be note dot body. So it's either going to be the note body, or because it's an optional as a string, since it's a part of our core data attributes, it's going to actually be note text given if for some reason it's empty, but we will guard against it being empty. So now it's still because I forgot to put var here. Let's see what happens. Let's just run it. In theory, because I've set this up correctly, hopefully, we will have this done. Let's see.
I've turned it up.
I guess Siri got triggered somehow. Hey, it's right here. Oh, yeah. Here's my note. I don't really like the text is blue. That's something I'm gonna have to change. But there's my note. So let's see, we can add another note here. Authority. Wow, if I can type, Thorgy is the best dog. Or not, that's cool. Oh, yeah, that's fine. We'll just add a note. Aha, there we are. Okay. And there's a simulator issue where you can only trigger a navigation link once, I believe. On the real device, of course, while doing this. In theory, I should be able to go here, though. And can I put in dark mode? So what's cool is when you are using the simulator... Oh, hello, darkness, my old friend. That is something that I'm going to have to fix. And let's go ahead and get that added on that repo. Underneath. Notification, issues. I said I needed to fix the label. Fix background for dark mode. And we'll go ahead and mark that as a bug. Assign myself. Do I even have a milestone going? Nah, it's fine. Okay, submit new issue. Cool. That way I can fix this later. Great. Alright, but you can still get the point that you can see what's there. So that's cool. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is we can actually display notes pretty well here, I'd say. So I'm going to mark that done. So the last thing I wanted to do was actually make that detail note a bit better, where you can actually see the info of the note. So there's a couple ways we can do this. The first way, we're going to open the note detail over here on the right. And we're going to keep this as here, as our content view. So where the master, what I'll call the master list is. So we're going to also still give it kind of like we had under card. We're going to call it. Sorry, I keep hearing noises. I know no one else is home. But I guess the dogs are fine. So what we're gonna do is here it's going to say var note, and it's gonna be a note entity. So this is also where I get kind of stuck, is once I start doing these note entities, I don't really know how to add them into the preview very well. So what I do is I usually just delete the previews or I comment them out. Cool. So vstack first, and text. Note details. Actually, in the text is actually just going to be note.body or no text given dot navigation. Title is going to be notes, note detail. Cool. So that's just going to give us the note detail. So the next thing we're going to do here is add in, so that gives us a note detail. Let's just add in some fun stuff about here. Why don't we put a list underneath here that gives us the hstack text date added, so date added, and we're gonna do a spacer, text of note dot added date dot. Let's just do a description for now. It's going to be upset. Hold on. Yep. It always has to have a date. It shouldn't be added without a date. So, sure, let's be. And yeah, we didn't say what the note was. So, note item. All right, if this works, I'm going to call this done for now. It's been about an hour. So thanks for listening and putting up with like my fumbling around for a little bit. But let's make sure it works. I mean, it does display details of the note, so that's good. And then I click on this is my best dog. Hey, Thorgy is the best dog. It says my details. Oh. See, I do want that note inside the scroll view, the add note inside the scroll view, or the navigation view at the minimum. Okay, well, not bad. But then it tells me my date added. It'll tell me a date modified at some point. And then we'll also put, if we want it notified. Okay, so why don't I just do this real quick before I let us go. Let's just let's see what this looks like. Because I might also just turn it into a list. turn this into a list. No, it's fine. Okay, so let's... Okay, so I think this is a great place to stop, and I'll open and get these committed, and I'll make sure that there's a link here, or I'll make sure that there is a link of some sort somehow, somewhere. Changes. We're going to add in all these wonderful changes that we did. Alright, so we're going to add in all these changes from live stream on. Today is the 9th, March 9th, 2020. Adds in core data. So we're going to push these up. Okay, so now that I've added these, let's just do a little spiel. Most importantly, so you can get to here and find these issues and what we've worked on so far, or what you've seen me work on so far, is if you go to my GitHub, github.com/Megan J. Wilson, and then go to the notification repo. If you're looking at this from a private browser, from a different browser where I'm not logged in, let's just go to what my profile looks like. Profile. Yeah, so you can find it right here where it says, so if you don't see it here, which you shouldn't, you scroll down, you'll find it in right here, Megan J. Wilson /notification, and you can see all the code and then the issues that I've started writing. Thanks for watching, guys. Please go check out my Buy Me a Coffee. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, go check out my Buy Me a Coffee page at buymeacoffee.com/appsbymw, and you get a couple different, you get some posts, you get some posts. I'm starting to kind of use it as a blog also. This is my video that I made last week after live streaming about how to use color assets and how to distinguish between light mode, dark mode. Then a sneak peek to showing that v2020.4 is coming. I did this way too soon. I have major bugs I need to fix before that, so I've actually killed that. Hopefully I'll get into review by the end of the week though. And then some live stream links. I am going to start, instead of doing a post every time I'm live streaming, I'm actually just going to do a post at the end of the month and do like a monthly newsletter on here. So if you ever miss anything, you can catch up this way. Or if you actually buy me a single coffee, then I'm going to mark that post to notify you, so you can go back and check it out and stuff like that. After I'm done live streaming, I'm hopefully going to post these on YouTube. I'm going to try to be better about that, about posting these on YouTube so you can go back and see them, because I know Twitch will delete them after a little bit. So again, thanks for watching. Either become a member and subscribe and buy me a coffee every month, or just buy me once. It's totally fine. buymeacoffee.com/appsbymw. Again, thanks for watching. Next week, we're going to probably flesh out, so I'm going to write this down while I'm talking about it. So next week, we are going to flesh out the details, work on issue number 2 on GitHub, and then work on toggling whether it's notified. Work on toggling on the toggle itself to toggle whether it's notified or not. That's the plan for the next one. So again, thanks for watching.